Is it streaming? Every week I'm always confused. Uh okay, I think it's working. Um well, sorry, I'm just checking on my phone if okay, I can see it. Yeah, every week there's technical problems. Maybe I should just learn to trust YouTube for this. Okay. All right, sorry for being late, guys. Let me just start um with our poems for this week. So yeah, hope all of you have been well. Jacqueline is also not feeling too well this week, so I'm gonna just be reading on my own now. And it's exciting because we're finishing this genre of like 5 character quatrains, right? And we're moving on to the next genre lah, of the it's like the same thing but with slightly more characters. So it's the 7 character quatrain. Yeah. And uh yeah, and if you remember from last week, right, we actually stopped halfway. It was this two-part one. So we read through this song of Chang'an 1. So I think before we really move on to the second half, why don't we just quickly refresh ourselves with this one? So what happened here? So I'll just read it again lah. So uh, a Song of Chang'an 1 by Cui Hao. So 长干行2首之一，君家何处住？妾住在横塘。停船暂借问，或恐是同乡。So tell me, where do you live? Near here by the fishing pool. Let's hold our boats together. Let's see if we belong in the same town. So in this one, right, I'll say it's pretty clearly like the uh so a lady and like a man lah, they sort of met, I guess, while they're sailing, and then she's basically trying to flirt with him, right? It's like, oh, do we maybe we come from the same hometown, which, if they did come from the same hometown, I imagine it would be pretty obvious lah. Like like you'll probably recognize each other. But I guess it's almost like, it's like in college when you're like, oh, did you take this class? It's like, or maybe it's someone that seems familiar, but it's like you can't put your finger on it, right? So I think there is plausible deniability there. And so she is sort of trying to flirt law. And let's see what the second half is, right? So that was like the quick refresher. So now the second half, right? All right, so it says 嘉陵九江水，来去九江侧，同是长干人，生小不相识。So yes, I live here by the river. I have sailed on it many and many a time. Both of us born in Chang'an, you and I. Why haven't we always known each other? So this is the reply of the man. And he says, okay, so apparently they are actually from the same town. Yeah, so my question is the same as him. It's like, why haven't they always known each other? Unless Chang'an is like a pretty big place. I guess by that time, China was pretty populous, right? So it's not really like a town, but maybe it's almost like a city, like a pretty big place. Hmm. Another observation I have is that well, looking at the Chinese, right? There's a very direct parallelism here, right? So it's like, this is literally the I guess the nine rivers. So this, I suspect, is the name of the river. So it's like, oh yeah, my house is just right next to the waters of the Nine River, and I come and go upon the Nine River. I suppose the repetition of the name of the river here, like twice in the same position, is really to emphasize like just uh just how much he is on the river. It's like again and again, right? And so, yeah, I'm a bit stumped. Like, is this just like those rom-coms where it's like a meet cute? Like, is there any, am I missing something? Like, uh, okay, and if you have any thoughts, feel free to leave it in the chat. Okay. Well, hi, everyone is saying hi. So, and sorry for being late, by the way. Every week there's something lah. Every week there's something uh where I just can't get the stream to work right. Okay. You know what? Why don't we look at the commentary for this? So we're here at Baidu again, right? Let's see what exactly they say. So apparently it's supposed to be four different poems. So there's only two that were selected, I believe, in this one. Yeah, that's right. Only two were selected in the collection. So it's the two we just read, the girl and the boy's reply. And yeah, we've looked at this page last week, where it's, at first the lady tries to find some topic, and then sort of strike up the conversation, and then by the end, I guess spoiler, finally they will go back together in the same boat. And it's about, the highlight of the poem is the girl's like guts and I guess wittiness, her wits for being able to strike up the conversation. And then it's very I guess realistic in terms of the dialogue. And they say it almost has the vibe of like a folk song. So it's not as elevated as some of the other poems that we've read. And I think you can tell, right? It's definitely more conversational. And at least for the language, I think it's definitely more vernacular. It's more plain, right? More down to earth. So it's just it's not very like, I think they don't try too hard to describe things, and it's also not too like romantic or intense, but it's just kind of like a normal romance, and maybe that's why it can have the power it does, right? Or it's more true to life. I don't know. Yeah, I do think it's very cute, and maybe there isn't much to think about it. It's just like a cute story, yeah. So let's see. Okay, so the Jiujiang that they're referring to, the Nine River, is a part of the Changjiang. So that's a very famous river lah. So it's just a portion of the river. And where do they live? Changjiang. Okay, that's not a huge deal. Geez, I don't really like this section because they try to appraise the piece, because I think sometimes they overdo it and they're like, I don't know, man. Sometimes it's just cute law, right? Like you don't need to overread it, right? So maybe look at more of the appraisals by like the famous critics. Okay, so one person says that, okay, so they only write the greeting, but what the emotions that underlie it are apparent. That's interesting, right? It's just, okay, so I guess, what are the emotions under this? So he says, yeah, I live here, and yeah, why don't we know each other? I guess the enthusiasm is kind of clear, especially in the last line, right? Like it's almost like, yeah, I would have noticed someone as pretty as you, or that kind of vibe. So that's pretty interesting. Hmm. What else? Another one says, uh, the final line is very well done, especially the formulation here, just 生小. Yeah, it's not very clear in the English, but yeah, it is pretty subtle the way they phrase this. So it's like born small, don't know each other. So it's like, yeah, like why don't we know each other since we were born or since we were young? Yeah, okay, that's a good line. Mm, mm. You know what? I'm just gonna move on. I feel like last week, one problem we always have is that we spend a lot of time on like two poems and then like we skim through like the other eight. So I feel like we pretty much covered what this poem deserves. It's just I don't know, I guess it's just cute though. Yeah. And oh wow, everyone's here. The usual crowd is here. So yeah, nice to see you all back. And yeah, no worries for being late. I was also 10 minutes late. Yeah, thanks for waiting. Okay, then let's go on to the next poem. This one by Li Bai, Jacqueline's favorite. So aside from a staircase of jade, so 日阶院. Hmm. Oh, I've read this in class before. So 日阶院, aside from a staircase of jade, 日阶生白露，夜久青罗袜，却下水晶帘，玲珑望秋月. Her jade white staircase is cold with dew, her silk soles are wet, and she lingered there for so long. She lingered there so long. Behind her closed casement, why is she still waiting? Watching through its crystal pane the glow of the autumn moon. So I guess the first thing we should try to figure out is who it is about, right? Who is the her, who is the she? And even though the Chinese, it doesn't have like gendered pronouns, right? Or it doesn't include any pronouns here. I think it's pretty clear that it is a woman, yeah. Or because I think it's luo, wow, this silk soles. I don't know, it just feels very feminine. I'm not sure. But yeah, the character here is definitely rich, right? I mean, she has like silk socks, and there's a jade white staircase, and there's a crystal pane. And I believe from what I read in class, this is more about really like one of the emperor's concubines. I think we read one of the something like this before, right? Oh wait, no, is the summer palace where it's like the palace attendants, but not the concubine themselves. Wait. Oh yeah. There was one about the concubine, right? It was about like how she's very far from home or something, right? So I think this is part of a whole genre of that. I suppose the theme is one of loneliness. You do get a sense of coldness, right? Like there's dew on the staircase, and then like and the water sort of like I don't know, it's like on your feet, on your soles, like it's kind of I don't know, kind of cold, dude. Yeah. And behind her closed casement, why is she waiting? Hmm. Watching through. So it's looking at the moon. Hmm. And what does the moon represent here? Oh, it could be a million things. Or the moon in Chinese poetry, it could be a million things. I'm just gonna guess and say it's either her home or her lover. Definitely some sense of longing here, right? It is about longing and loneliness. I think I like this line, the idea of ling long as well. Or it's like, I guess this is the sound effect of the crystal curtain, right? It's like I don't know, maybe she brushes the curtain and then there's this sound, but through it, she's looking at the moon. I think there's also this dimension of like, because she's living in luxury, but it's a very lonely existence, or there's like she's surrounded by all these things, but that are very, very valuable, but somehow the most valuable things are lacking. Yeah, mm, yeah, if you have any thoughts, feel free to just put it in the chat, okay? Oh, someone asked what's a jade white staircase? Yeah, I think it's really just a staircase, and then it's just the color of like white. It could be made of jade itself, actually, of like this precious stone, right? But either way, it's meant to convey a sense of just it's just not something someone would have like a normal person would have in their home. So I think it's just to show that it is a very wealthy lady. Yeah. Hmm. Okay, let me drink some water. Hmm. And I guess maybe just one more comment. It's just very well written, just in the language. Yeah. Yes. I think the use of Ling Long here is very interesting. Just I think having the sound effect really puts you more in the perspective, because Ling Long is like the tinkling of the curtain, I guess. So it really puts you in the perspective of the protagonist. Yeah. Okay. Why don't we see what other people think about this? Hmm. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Right. So it's pretty much what I've just described, the interpretation here. Um, but they say there's sort of a movement. You see, the first two lines is, I guess she's closer to the window, and that's why so she was, so the curtain, she was lifting up the curtain in the first two lines, and then she's standing near the window. That's why there is dew on the staircase right under her feet. And then the last two lines is like, oh, it's too cold. And then so she goes back to her room and she puts down the curtain, and that's why there's the tinkling sound. But even as she puts it down, she's still looking at the moon outside. Okay. And they think that the first two lines is about how long she's waited there. Like, I guess she's been there for a while. That's why the dew is forming. And then the last two lines is about just the moon as a symbol of longing. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, a lot of comments here. That is a good point. they say that there's not a single word of lament, but you can see it, you can sense it even without explicitly lamenting. Yeah, that's true, right? That's true. It's just really setting the scene. I think the scene really draws you in so that it makes you want to figure out like why, like what's really going on. Yeah. Yeah, this is another comment saying pretty much the same thing. Oh yeah, another one saying the same thing. Oh, I guess most of them are. They also point out like yes, it's because the idea of like lament is in the title itself, but again, there's no lament in the a blame or complaint. It's not explicitly stated the complaint. So it's very subtly done. Mm. Mm. I think maybe just one more comment. It's like, yeah, I'm not sure why the image of looking at the moon is so powerful. I think it is, maybe it is just something that is repeated throughout Chinese poetry so much that it takes on a lot of meaning, right? Almost like, let's say, a rose in like English poetry. Like for example, like you might think some things are universal, but I mean, you rarely see, you almost never see something like a rose in like Chinese poetry. Like it just doesn't have the same symbolic weight. So I think it's very interesting that I suppose even by now, the moon has taken on a lot of meaning here. And I mean, even by another poem by him, right? Like the super famous poem that everyone memorizes. Where it's like, you raise your head and then you see the moon, right? So I think that's why it's a very clear cue here of longing, of missing. And that's why I guess maybe it's missing home or missing a specific person now. I guess there is a note that they said here that is borrowing a old theme from this other genre called like the 乐府. I believe there are some 乐府 poems in the this collection as well. So we'll end up getting to them. Yeah, but really they're from a much earlier period lah, from the Qin dynasty and to down to the Han. So yeah, let's uh oh, and these, I believe these poems tend to be written from the perspective of a woman. I believe a lot of them were composed by women actually. Yeah. So maybe, I guess it is saying that this poem still talks about the theme of longing. Yeah, this is the idea of the 公认诗, right? It's like we talked about this before. It is like this concubines being lonely in the in the palace. Oh, and it's very popular during the Tang and the Song dynasty. Okay, interesting. I don't want to spend too long on this, so let's go on. See any more comments from you? Okay. Okay, some of you say, oh, you think the linglong part is a onomatopoeia, right? Oh, very interesting comments. Let me just take a break to read these. So yeah, the linglong is an onomatopoeia, and because the left side is the same, and the right side is the sound. Yeah, exactly right. Because the first one, the right side is ling, the right side is long. That's why you have linglong for the sound. And you say, oh, you thought the title was something like the jade on the stairs is to blame here. And you say your Chinese is too basic to understand. No, it's not. I don't think it's your. I think it takes a very high level of Chinese to really understand what's going on here. So, like, yeah, I think I took a lot of training to learn this. Yeah, but also because I'm Singaporean, so my cultural capital is not that high. Had to learn a lot in college. Yeah. Oh, and a very interesting point you say that you think that the moon represents something far, so that's why looking at the moon is like longing for something. So it's almost like the object of your desire is something that's so far away, right? Mm. But at the same time, you can look at it, but also it's only out sometimes. It's not like it's there all the time, right? So, and I guess nights are usually when you miss people, or that's when you're more vulnerable, right? So yeah, oh, that's a very good reason for why a moon sort of has the potential to become a strong symbol. Yeah. And it's like once someone uses it and it becomes popular, it just takes on a life of its own, right? So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay, so this next one, right? I think is a four-part thing. Like I was looking at it, it's like, yeah, there's four parts to this. There's yeah, so it's like 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are all about this group of poems. So why don't I just look? Yeah, let's read this out. Okay, so all right, so this is I think Sir, right? Or is it Sai? I think it's Sai, yeah. 塞下曲四首之一 or Border Songs 1 by 卢纶. So this 旧林金蒲姑，燕尾绣毛狐，独立扬新令，牵引共一屋。His golden arrow is tipped with hawk's feathers. His embroidered silk flag has a tail like a swallow. One man arising gives a new order to the answering shout of 1,000 tents. I think I will give brief comments on this, and then we should read through all the other three parts before we go into in-depth discussion now. Because it seems like this on its own is pretty isolated. So I guess first thing I noticed is that, right, in contrast to the other two-part poem just now, right, on like the flirting, the rom-com on the river, right? Like you can tell this is using a lot more elevated language. That's why I had to check like the pronunciations of a lot of these, right? Like it's not like definitely it is going for a different vibe here. It's not like the down-to-earth, like cute vibe. And I mean, clearly it is about some military thing, right? Yeah. So that's out the border. And this Sai. So this one has a few meanings, right? This character, if you learn Chinese. But this is about so is this not a verb here in terms of like to stuff or to not the first one Sai, but Sai, the second one, which is some sort of strategic pass, which is like, yeah, just a place, I guess, of military importance. You can think of it like that. So, all right, so let's start. So this golden arrow. I had no idea how to interpret this pugu, but I guess it's a golden arrow. Okay, so eagle feathers in a gold arrow. I guess it's an arrow. And this yen wei. Okay, so then the swallow tail is embroidered on this Mao Hu, which I guess is the silk flag. Okay. And then he stands alone and I guess he raises up. I mean, yeah, like he's just shouting, announcing a new order and the 1,000 tents together they cry out. So it's saying like yes sir law, probably. So this is depicting like a general, right? And I guess it is interesting is using the two bird images of the eagle or hawk and the swallow. I suppose a hawk is more of like an aggressive animal, as in the swallow is a peaceful animal. You know how people talk about like hawks and doves in terms of like someone's hawkish if they're like very aggressive, right, to their, I don't know, their enemy or something, their foreign policy enemy. So maybe the choice of the animals here, the birds here, are for almost the two sides. It's like there's the war, the aggressive side, and it's linked to the actual arrows, right? Whereas the more peaceful side is about the flag, which might be about defending the country. I don't know. Okay, let's look at the other ones first. All right, let's look at the part 2. All right, then border songs 2, 塞下曲4首之2. So 林暗草惊风，将军夜引弓，平民寻白羽。莫在石棱中. The woods are black and a wind assails the grasses. Yet the general tries night archery, and next morning he finds his white-plumed arrow pointed deep in the hard rock. Okay, so we're continuing on with this general, right? So the woods are black, yeah, the Ling'an. And I guess more literally, the grass is spooked by the wind. And the Jiang, sorry, that's not Jiang, this is Jiang. So no, sorry, Jiangjun, what am I saying? Jiangjun, so the general, at the night, I read this more or less, he's like, yeah, pulling the bow. So I mean, he is trying to shoot lah. It is night archery, but it seems like it's focusing on the specific action of him pulling the bow as like it's like the concrete image that grounds the whole act of hunting, right, or archery. And okay, so the next day, Pingming, I guess, it is the next day. He's looking for his, the white feather on his arrow, right? And it is sunk in the stone, okay, the corner of the stone, I guess, yeah. I feel like this is leading up to something, right? Like, okay, or is it saying, okay, so it is I don't know, is the wind really just wind, or is it like an animal running past causing the wind? Okay, he shoots the arrow and then he doesn't hit anything. Okay. Let's see. Okay, the comments say, yeah, the last part, I guess it's for the previous part. The last part is easy to make out, but the first part is like, just gives a headache. Yeah, I know, right? The first half is like, I've seen this word before, but like, I can tell it's a bird because it has a bird character inside, but like, what does it even mean? Yeah. So, right. And you also say you like how Yin Gong looks like it does mean something like pulling a bow, right? Because there's actually literally the bow thing inside, right? And usually Yin means to like lead, to guide. But I'm guessing because from Japanese it's like, I think it's like hiku. So I'm guessing it does have the idea of pulling. Yeah. And I mean it has to be related to the bow, right? Like the bow is literally in this character. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. I'm kind of invested in this story. Yeah. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I hope something's gonna happen. All right, let's see this next one. So border songs 3. Okay. So 月黑雁飞高，单于夜遁逃。sorry，日将倾其竹，大雪满弓刀。Sorry, I'm so tired of like not recognizing very simple characters. Right, so high in the faint moonlight, wild geese are soaring. Tartar chieftains are fleeing through the night, and we chase them with horses lightly burdened, and a burden of snow on our bows and our swords. So I'm gonna say this is a different scene from before, right? Because it has already become day here. And it was anyway, yeah, this next one, so it's night again, and then the wild geese are soaring, and then done. Okay. Oh, it might be Chan here. Chan, the chieftain. So the chieftains are okay, they disappear. Yeah, 遁逃. So I guess they're just running away, yeah, in the night. And geez, I really can't. It's either Jiang or Jiang. I don't know. I could read it. So Jiang is like going to, right? But Jiang is like the general. Because if you read it as Yu Jiang, there's like the desirous general, right? The general who wants. So the desirable generals. No, sorry, the desirous general lightly rides and pursues. Or it could also be they want to. Yeah, I'll go with the first reading. The desirous general rides lightly and pursues. So I guess it might be we, but it seems like it's more of like the general. And especially because this is Jiang or Jiang. The previous poem also has Jiang, right? The Jiangjun here. So confusingly, Jiangjun and Jiang, they mean the same thing. The Jiangjun is a general, but Jiang is also a general. Even though we're reading it with different tones here. Yeah. So I do want to read it as a general chasing them. And then finally, yeah, the 大雪, there's snow that fills or burdens the bow and the knife or the sword. Okay, I didn't know it was snowing actually, so that's interesting. This doesn't seem like a very snowy scene, the previous one, because it was in a rock. And you know, there's wind, if the grass can be blown by the wind, it must not be covered by snow, right? So I suppose this is a different season. I guess they're defending the border the entire year. So yeah, so now it's winter. And yeah, there's actually a fight here. Okay, I don't know anything about geese. Maybe this is a sign of winter as well. Like the seasons, like when it flies. Okay, so this is a battle scene. I guess the first two were sort of set up of like, first is really to set up like the manpower, right? There's 1,000 camps, and it introduces through the figure of the general, and then it's the general again, and here he's very alert. He hears the wind blowing the grass, and then he's just like, okay, maybe there's something there. And now his alertness is paying off because there is someone who is trying to come, and then he manages successfully to chase them away. And again, this, I guess the context is that the border is the northern border, right? And it's always about defending the Tang heartland, you might say, the Tang, the center of the empire from these northern invaders. Okay, so wow, I wonder what's happening in the last one. Are they gonna catch the guy? Okay. So, wow, a lot of fancy words. Sorry. So part 4. 野木必穷言，羌戎贺劳旋，醉和金甲舞，擂鼓动山川。I think the rhyme doesn't work well in the modern Chinese, but yeah. All right, let feasting begin in the wild camp. Let bugles cry our victory. Let us drink, let us dance in our golden armor. Let us thunder on rivers and hills with our drums. Bugle is just a musical instrument, right? It just reminds me of like the Spider-Man, like the newspaper, the Daily Bugle. Maybe that was meant to be deliberately like weird instrument. Yeah. Okay, so I guess they won because, all right, yeah, let us begin feasting and then I'm victory lah, they've won. And then let us drink and dance in our golden armor. Let us thunder on rivers and hills with our drums. Yeah, the last two lines in the Chinese, the last two lines is much more obvious than the first two lines. I have no idea. If I just read this, I have no idea what's going on. But I guess it's like the wild scene. Okay, the wild tent. I guess the wild camps here. It covers what? Beautiful mats. Maybe they use the mats for feasting. I don't know. Okay, and I guess this qiangrong would be the musical instrument, and it's congratulating, or I guess congratulatory tunes. Oh no, it's congratulating the labor, I guess, congratulating the toils, and the music is sort of revolving, or yeah. Oh, it could be 炫, especially for an occasion. Okay lah, you know what it means, right? Fun. Yeah, maybe 炫 would work better for the rhyme. And 醉和, yeah, and then drunk, and then dancing with golden armor. The thundering drums rock or shake the rivers and hills. Okay, so we had this sort of setup and of the strength of this thing, right? Let's see, part 1. Okay, set up the scene, and then the alertness, they fight, and now finally they've won. I think it's interesting that they sort of end it in terms of the shan chuan again, is about the mountains and the rivers again. So I say again, did it come up before? Not really. But I do think the last part here, it's about, I don't know, there's this sense of like human domination over nature, right? Would you think so? Or is it about I don't know. I just find it interesting that it ends with this rivers and mountains and rivers. And I think, and even though and in describing the kind of musical celebration, I believe the poem is also trying to itself be musical, right? So it is the celebration, even as it describes the celebration. So it is interesting here. I guess the first two lines are quite melodic. 野木必穷言，羌戎贺劳旋。野木必穷言. 枪容鹤劳旋. Like, or maybe it could even be like, these are the poems that they're singing. Like once these poems became famous, maybe I wouldn't be surprised if people actually sang it at the celebration itself. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, I know there's some comments here. Let me see. Right. Oh, you say, yeah, it's always it's confusing when the word has different meanings when used as an adjective or a noun. Yet, and this is especially true of classical Chinese, because it's the same word can be used as a verb or a noun or adjective. Wherefore, Mandarin is a bit more fixed in terms of the word category. And the Tartar in the previous poem actually mentioned, because there's a specific tribe, right? It's not mentioned, I believe, unless it's Dan. Maybe this Dan is a specific name for a Tartar chieftain. I'm not sure. But yeah, the implication is that it's some Central Asian invader that they're fighting, or because that's the only land border that they really have to care about. Yeah. And the last one is this character Qiang. Yeah, it's not very common. Yeah. At least I don't encounter it too much. Yeah. And it's this oh, and you say this is very concise, you think, because uh it's like all the words are just like co compressed together and yeah. I think there are especially for this 五言绝句, this 5 character quatrain. I think there are a lot of like ones where it's like super compressed. So I guess they're trying to they have these 4 poems, right? That's like 80 characters. It's like they're trying to have like this whole story in 80 characters. So there is a art of compression here. Yeah, art of compression. But at the same time, we also did look at the 2 poems just now, right? Where it's like it's definitely more loose and more like chill. So I think it is interesting. It is a good point because I guess in my head, like the famous poems are all very like compressed, like a lot going on. So it's very interesting to see like the opposite, right? Where it's just like a very nice, like normal, down to earth scene in life. Yeah. Maybe, okay, now that we look at this, maybe we could look at the commentary for this. So originally it's 6. There are 6 poems, but they only chose 4 for the collection. Oh wow, they even shot a tiger in one of the other poems. Huh. Okay, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we didn't have 5 and 6. Okay. Yeah, we don't have 5 and 6, right? Let me double check. 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Because the last one is just this other poem. So, interesting. Okay. So first one. Oh, so the title was actually a bit different. In other version is with this guy called Zhang Pushe. And then okay, this Jing Pu Gu, yeah, we were kind of confused, right, in terms of why this is an arrow. But Jing Pu Gu is just the name of a famous arrow, apparently. Okay. And then oh, and the flag looks like a swallowtail in this very first poem, because there's like it's not like a square flag, it's kind of like it has this shape, right? It's like a sigma, I guess. Capital sigma. Yeah, so it's sort of like it has those 2 things, so it's sort of like the tail of a swallow. Yeah. Okay. What else? Yeah, the yingong, as we said, is to pull the arrow. Yeah. So that's right. Okay, so the Chan Yu. Oh, is this 单于? It's one word. So this is the leader of this. What is Lu? I'm not sure. Let me check. I guess this is where the Tartars come from, right? Oh, this is the Xiongnu. What am I saying? Yeah. It's just some non-Chinese peoples, but it's kind of a general word. So I suppose maybe they just use Tartar as a general term as well, as just like a non-Chinese Central Asian people that's invading. Yeah. Okay, and it's just also this is the highest commander of the invaders. Okay. And there's this other one from the last poem, right? Here. This Qiangrong is just it's sort of like Xiongnu, I guess. Is just another like a non-Chinese people from Central Asia, a non-Han people from Central Asia. Yeah. Okay. So we do have. Does that change anything? Okay, so the Qiangrong is not the bugle, is it? Huh? But how would they? Then where does the bugle come from? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So this interpretation says that it's actually our allies, our non-Chinese, the non-Han allies on the border, they come to celebrate our victory or our triumphant return. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. I hope you guys are not too confused. I know like for keeping 4 poems in your head are very like it is quite demanding. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. One comment is, yeah, decoding this poem really has to see the context of what's happening at that period. That's a nightmare for you. Are you Singaporean? The phrasing is very Singaporean. Yeah. Yeah, but it's a bit shag. Yeah, it's a bit rough. Yeah, part of me was like, wow. Part of me sort of expected these Tang poems to be very like timeless, but there's a lot more context than expected. So maybe I should really go research more on like Tang history. Okay, let's see one by one. Okay, uh, in terms of the famous comments, oh, actually, wow, we're going pretty fast today too. The first one, they're basically just saying the poem's very good and what it's doing. Okay, so that's not super helpful. All right, let's see. Poem number 2, this is about right, poem 1 was just the general description, right? Of like, I don't know, his arrow and his flag. So poem 2, his night hunting. Okay, so what does it say there? Oh, they really like this line of the 2 lines where searching for a white arrow in the morning and it's sunk in the deep in the rock. Yeah. That's true, right? He must be a very good archer to for it to sink it deep in the rock. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So it's a sign of how good he is without being too blatant about it. That's very interesting, huh? Hmm. Oh, apparently this Ling An Cao Jing. Apparently this poem is about where they shoot the tiger. There's nothing about tiger though. Where did they get this from? Huh, weird. Okay, then the third one. Okay, so it's the where they actually fight the opponents, right? Let's see. Um, hmm. They're all talking about the sound for some reason. 节最鼓. I don't really understand this though. Hmm. Yeah, sorry, I don't know enough Middle Chinese linguistics to understand what they're saying. Or I don't know enough poetic like devices, but they're talking something about like the sound or the meter, and it's more here is more strong, I suppose. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure how you can tell what's a strong or weak meter. I guess this one also says like each one is very like just very manly. Yeah, I'm not sure why or how. Mm. And okay, and this is this one line of like the or is it the moon is dark, the moonlight is dark, and the wild geese fly high. They just think this is very manly. Okay. Okay, sure, I'll go with that. Hmm. So this is the first one. This is an interesting comment by Li Ying. Says the first two lines is about how the enemies the enemies are so afraid and then they are just all fleeing, right? And then the second line is about how much work this actually takes, and they don't yeah, they don't want to, or they show it through just how much snow is on their equipment, right? And it's just so all the difficult conditions they have to endure, like the snow and the just exhaustion. So I think yeah, it's right. It's a very good way to really convey that in a it's both vivid and subtle. Yeah, yeah. And this last one, when they're like partying, mm, he's just describing what's happening. Oh, it's just he thinks it's very good. Okay, this one person. Yeah, wow, okay. I really didn't expect this like type of poems in the collection. Like, because the famous ones are all like quite of a different vibe, right? It's more of like a personal poems, But this is more, yeah, like you pointed out, it's really a lot more contextual and a lot more, yeah, it's just a really different vibe. Yeah. So I'm pretty glad I got to read this. Oh, you're not from Singapore, but you're in the maritime. And yeah, where does the tiger come from? Sorry, this is from the chat, right? Where does the tiger come from? Yeah, it's supposed to be in poem too, right? They're shooting a tiger, but I don't see any tiger. Is this just like a famous story associated with the guy with this? Hmm. Let me just control F, search for tiger. Super weird though. What is it? Oh, okay. So apparently, they think that because it comes from a historical anecdote in the Shiji or the records of the grand historian. So that's in the Han Dynasty. It's like Han Dynasty, like roughly 200 BC to 200 AD lah, roughly. So there's this famous Han general who when he was hunting, he saw like a rock and thought it was a tiger. And he shot it, and then it was like it was sunk in the arrow was sunk in the stone, and then he sees that it is in fact a stone, and that's why he shot it again, but it didn't go into the rock again. I guess because he thought it was a tiger, so he shot it with more like gusto, shot it with more and more motivation now. Interesting. Okay. Oh, and apparently that area is there is usually a lot of tigers, and like that's where the forest is where the tigers usually hang out, I guess, where they live, and they usually come out at night. Ah, okay. And apparently they think that the use of the word jing of like where's the jing here? Ling An. Right, because talking about this, this is literally the time, the place and the time where the tigers usually come out. And then there's this word of jing of like shock or alarm. So apparently the subtext is that there's a tiger. Okay, that's pretty cool. And turns out it's not a tiger lah, but then it's sunk into the stone. And so it's calling back to this famous story. Yeah. And I guess it is linking the heroism of these soldiers to the historical great generals. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so much context, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's see the next one. Right, we were at 2. Okay. Wow, I can't believe we worked through 4 poems. Okay. All right, next one. Jiangnan Chu, A Song of the Southern River by Li Yi. So 驾得去唐甲 I guess should be 古 here, sorry. 驾得瞿塘古，朝朝暮妾妻。早知朝有信，驾与弄潮儿。Since I married the merchant of Tang, he has failed each day to keep his word. Had I thought how regular the tide is, I might rather have chosen a river boy. I think this is actually Zhao Zhao, sorry, not Chao Chao. So, okay, so this Jia is married. Yeah, so if you Jia someone, you are a woman marrying a man, right? If it's a man marrying a woman, you Chu someone. So when saying that the character Jia, so we know it's a woman, right? So then she marries this Gu, this merchant. Pretty obscure word, but it comes out a lot. So if you're reading a lot of classical Chinese, Gu, you need to know. Yeah. So you marry this merchant in Tang, and then every morning, Zhao Zhao, I don't really get this. So this qie is myself, right? So, and then mistake, neglect. So every day is the time to neglect me. I guess that's what it's saying. And then if I knew that the tides have trustworthiness because they're regular, right? Then I would marry someone who works with the tides, the river boy. Oh, that's sad. Yeah. I wonder what it means to fail to keep his word every day. Huh. Interesting. Any thoughts on this? Yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit like this has the same vibe as those sad poems in the court, but this is like you're not even married to the emperor, dude. You're married to some merchant. So I wonder what it means to be misled every day. Hmm. But I guess the sentiment is that she'd rather be poor and happy than marry rich and unhappy, right? Which seems to be a recurring theme. Yeah, but I can definitely see that. But it also feels like I don't know, it feels like something she would say to someone, but you wouldn't. It feels like she's complaining. Like like this doesn't feel like a confession, you know. It feels like a complaint. It feels like kind of artificial. I don't know. Maybe that's just a sign that it's not that good a poem. Or maybe I'm not that good at reading it. Why don't we see here? This Jiangnan Qu. Okay. Oh, so it's saying that this interpretation is that the husband, because he's a busy businessman, he's always outside doing business. That's why 朝朝暮且妻. So every day he fails to keep it. Every day is the day that he neglects me. Hmm, really? Oh, this one says that because he's away, and he was like, okay, I'll be back by like 26th November. Let's say he's like, I'll be back by 26th November, but he's late. So it's like every day it's like so the qi here is actually a date, right? So every day is like he misleads his wife because of the wrong date. Okay lah, then she doesn't actually hate the husband, right? I mean, if she actually hates the husband, then she'll be happy he's not there. So yeah, she is sort of complaining. Like the last two lines is a kind of artificial complaint because she doesn't really think that she doesn't really want to marry a river boy. She's just like, is like trying to make the husband jealous, lor. Yeah, she's trying to make the husband jealous by saying that. Ah, okay. That's very cute. Wow. Oh, what a weird comment. He says like it's a ludicrous thought, but it's very apt for writing this sense of longing. I guess a ludicrous thought is like marrying the river boy. It's like you're missing your husband. You're like, oh, I'm gonna marry someone else. It's that kind of. Oh, it sounds very Asian. I don't know. It sounds something like yeah, very Asian thing to say. It's like the when the Asian mom is like not happy with you. It's like yeah, I sell you to someone else. You know, like that kind of vibe. Uh, right. They're also picking on the last two lines, right? The other thing is kind of it's sort of like illogical or insensible, but it's also like very well done. That's right. That's right. Hmm. Yeah, there's not much analysis to be had. But I think yeah, I guess in hindsight, yeah, this last part is very true to life. The last two lines. It's like, yeah, it's like trying to make the person who's not there jealous, I guess, by like fake threatening to leave. Yeah, pretty cute lah, pretty cute. Yeah, I like this. Any thoughts from you guys? I wonder. Okay, none. All right, next one then. Oh, we're going into a new genre now. So pretty wild. Well, it's not that wild, but it's these 七言绝句, or the 7-character quatrain. And this is a very famous poem, by the way. This is fun. But why don't we look first at the form first? So it is like the previous one, but it's just slightly longer. Yeah. And but do note that here they also have very pretty strict requirements in terms of meter. And we can see the meters here. I mean, you don't have to really worry about it lah. But these are the 4 types that it could do. So yeah, maybe just a quick recap. There's like the ping and the ze, right? So ping in Middle Chinese is the first tone of the Middle Chinese. And nowadays it will generally be like first or second tone for Mandarin. And this ze is either second, third, or fourth tone for Middle Chinese. And nowadays it's generally third or fourth tone now. But presumably or at least most of the poems have to follow this pattern of like of this this tone pattern. But I believe it is possible to break the rules. I believe so, but I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, because of the very strict rules, essentially you have basically these 4 rhyme patterns. But they say, okay, but those in squares, right? It means it could actually be either like any tone you want. Yeah. Okay, but it is a pretty rigid form. And yeah, but let's see how people have managed to work even within this very restrictive form. And interesting, there are a lot more of these than the previous genre. I guess you have more characters to work with, so maybe that's why it's more appealing. Yeah. What is you are 7 times 5, rhyme pattern, tone pattern. And there's a spam chat here. Right, so I believe ping, because ping, if you know the 4 tones are the 4 Middle Chinese tones, right? It's like ping, shang, zhi, ru. So ping is only really the first tone for Middle Chinese, but I think in Mandarin it becomes first and second tone. If I'm not wrong, we can double check. But yeah, so and there's another problem, which is like the 4th tone in Middle Chinese. It could be any tone really in modern Mandarin, so it's hard to it's very hard to really gauge perfectly from Mandarin, but yeah, you can have a rough sense. Yeah, like there are tools for checking the Middle Chinese stuff, but I don't think I would focus too much on it right now. Yeah. Okay. Right, yeah, so it's 7 times 4, you're right. So it's 7 characters in 4 lines. And yeah, I hope that was clear. And yeah, thanks for the quick reply. I know there's a lag between me talking and you watching the thing, but yeah, good that you have good that you're asking your question straight away, because I did forget to mention that it's 4 lines of 7 characters. Yeah. Okay, so if there are no more questions on the form specifically, why don't we start on this first poem? It is pretty famous. Like, I think I I kind of remember this by heart, most of it. So this is 贺知章回乡偶书 coming home. So 少小离家老大回，乡音无改鬓毛衰。儿童相见不相识，笑问客从何处来。There's a comment here, very interesting. All right, next. All right, here, English. I left home young, I returned old, speaking as then, but with hair grown thin. And my children meeting me. No, it's not his children. But yeah, and children meeting me do not know me. They smile and say, stranger, where do you come from? There's no way his own children don't recognize him, right? Come on. Like, is your dad? Right, but okay, yeah, so this is like, so when he left home when he was young, and he returned when he was old, yeah. And his xiangyin, this is like his local accent, I guess. His local accent did not change, but his hair has grown thin, yeah. And children from the village, not his children. So children from the village, they see him and they don't recognize him. And then they smile asking, oh, stranger, yeah, where do you come from? So this is, I believe the context, as I mentioned before, is that, you know, all these officials, when they get a governmental position, they have to be like deployed elsewhere to prevent corruption, right? Or it's like if you're born here and then you become the magistrate here, then I don't know, maybe you give the people you know, your family and friends, some like perks, right? And that's not very fair. So they always send you to like other provinces, other districts. And I believe this is like he can finally return home now that he's retired. And that's why he says, yeah, you know, he left home since he was young and he returned when he was old. And I think interesting is he doesn't just say he's young and old, right? He's like young and small. It's like shao and xiao. And then he's old and big, lao and da. So I guess there is that sense of like, maybe not just age, almost like accomplishment. Maybe it's like, oh, I was a low ranking guy and I come back with, you know, I'm big, I'm like a big man, but like I have all these accomplishments. And, you know, at what cost, right, are these accomplishments? It's like, he really spent a lot of his life, like his hair has almost thinned out, you know, and I think the contrast between the two halves of the line are interesting. Now that there's 7 characters, you see that it's sort of split into a 4-3 structure, right? So it's like the first 4 characters is like, yeah, I left home when I was young, and the next character, I come back when I'm old. Then the next one, the 4 characters here, yeah, my local accent, I guess, has not changed. And then the next 3, but what has changed is that my hair has thinned out. You see, so there's the 4-3 structure here. And kind of here as well, right? Next one, the child, a young boy, he sees me, but he does not recognize me. So the 4 is he sees, and the 3 is he does not recognize. But the last line doesn't follow the structure, right? So I guess it's sort of like a twist. It's like, okay, so he smilingly asks, oh, stranger, where do you come from? And yeah, because the kid is so young, like obviously the kid was not born up when this man was there, right? When the guy was still in his hometown now. Yeah. And I guess the feeling, maybe I've read this a lot of times, so I sort of forgot the feeling when I first read it. But looking back, I think it's this feeling of, it's that you sort of sunk your life into public service, right? Or really just working towards something, and then you're wondering like, you know, I guess I have some accomplishments, right? Because he's not just, he does consider himself like big. You have these accomplishments, but like, is at what cost, or is at what personal cost, right? It's like even your like you do keep something with you because you always have your local accent, your here literally is like the sound of home. And that has never changed, that, which honestly, actually, most people, I think that it does change. I'm not sure if this is, or at least he thinks that it has never changed, right? And even if his external appearance has just like changed greatly. So I think the first two lines does set up this contrast of like, or this inner tension of like, yes, I am the same, but also not the same, right? It's like, I have changed, but is my essence still there? I think there is an internal conflict that is being portrayed in these first two lines between the four characters on top and the three characters below, right? And then now we have an actual encounter with presumably the first encounter with the local of his village, right? And it's this kid, and it's like, so they see each other. We see each other. I see the kid sees me, but we do not recognize each other. Yeah. And then the kid laughs and say, oh stranger, where do you come from? Yeah, I guess it just feels very sad. I'm not sure if I can say that it confirms the inner tension, or I can't say whether it's like this kid's judgment confirms that I have changed greatly. Because it could be, I mean, the kid is just a kid, like kids make mistake, right? But I guess it really does emphasize that, like, wow, how much have I missed? Yeah, yeah. So, well, it's really, really good poem. Like, I hope you can feel it even through my lackluster analysis. Yeah. Okay, then your comment here is right. Oh, you're talking about the rhyme pattern. Yeah, right. And you think it's the feeling of nostalgia, but also the strange idea that one place once so familiar is now somewhat strange. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So the kid finds him strange, but he also finds the kid strange. That's interesting. Oh, and you say my analysis is not lackluster. Oh, thanks, thanks. Right. But since I am young, I can't see it from an old man's perspective. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely didn't see the part where it's like the old man also finds the kid strange, right? Because that's very interesting. Mm. Because I suppose the old man can also ask the kid, like, oh, stranger, where do you come from? And there is the idea of reciprocity here, right? Because it's like 相见, is like each other, and then 不相识 is like to know each other. So, mm, so you could even read this. This is a stretch, but you could even read the final line as like the old man asking the kid, "Where do you come from?" Like it's probably the kid, like it's probably the kid asking, but like because there's no subject, you could conceivably read it like that. Oh, that's very interesting. Very interesting. And when you say you've definitely translated this one from the chat. Wow. Oh, is this for class? Yeah, this is it's super famous poem. So and for a good reason, I think it's really, really, really well done. So yeah. Okay. Maybe let's see. How many more we have? Okay, just two more poems. So okay, I think we definitely have time to. Why don't we look at what people have said about this? Oh, there's actually a second half to this. Maybe let me just read this briefly. The second half. Since this is so famous, I didn't even know there was a second half. 离别家乡岁月久，近来人事半消磨。唯有门前镜湖水，春风不改旧时波。So departing from my hometown has been a long many years. Recently, the affairs of people have been have half disappeared. Only the water of the lake, like a mirror in front of my door. When the spring wind blows, it does not change the rippling of old. Wow. That's interesting, right? Wow. So you think water is so unstable, but ironically, it's the water is not solid, right? But ironically, it is that thing which has remained for him. Wow, that's really good. That's really good. Wow. Okay, so this is apparently he was gone for 50 years. That's what they think. Uh the poet He Zhizhang, okay, he quit his post and then he went back home. So, geez, wow, he's 86. So when he said he was young, he was 36. Bruh, I'm like 26. Wow, okay, so I guess I'm still 少小 by his standard. I'm still young and small by his standard. So yeah, he has left home for about 50 over years. Wow. Wow, that's really good. Okay, let's see some comments. Hmm. So it just says, this one says he just very apt, very apt. He captures the emotion very well. Hmm. Hmm. It says the language is very down to earth, but the emotions are endless. Yeah, yeah. It really is a great poem. Wow. Maybe I should keep. Yeah, I wonder how. Maybe when I'm 84 years old, like I would also feel like this. 86 years old. Yeah. Wow. Any more parting comments before we move to the next one? Okay. I see. Oh, okay. One of you has to go. All right. All right. Bye bye. And yeah, you have to say you don't have a solid understanding of Chinese poetic forms yet. Yeah, me neither. I wish Jacqueline was here. She probably knows a bit more than me. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm kind of motivated. Like, since there's so many more poems to read, I suppose I will read some books and so that I can give a more learned discussion. Yeah. But this is really fun, right? I hope you guys like these poems. It's like I'm really vibing. Yeah, these are great. Okay, this one by Zhang Xu, 桃花溪. So the Peach Blossom River. Eh? Why is there the last three lines here? That's weird. I think probably it's a glitch. I don't know. So the poem itself is what? This goes 隐隐飞桥隔野烟，石矶溪畔问渔船。桃花尽日随流水，洞在清溪何处边。So a bridge flies away through a wild mist, yet here are the rocks and the fisherman's boat. Oh, if only this river of floating peach petals might lead me at last to the mythical cave. Okay, this is another. Okay, this is definitely a literary reference, right? To 桃花源. Yeah, to this one. Why did I look at this? So we talked about this before. Right? It came out with another of the poems, but essentially this is this. The 桃花源 is a peach blossom garden, written by this famous poet called Tao Yuanming, quite a bit earlier, I guess like roughly like year 300 or something. Yeah, so it's essentially this hidden utopia in a cave. This fisherman goes in this hidden utopia in a cave, and then he goes in, he's like, wow, life is so good. And then he comes out and he can never find it again. Yeah, that's the terribly summarized version. But that, all right, so but just know that it's supposed to be a kind of utopia and it's linked with peach blossoms, right? So let's see what it says here. 隐隐飞桥隔夜烟. So the bridge flies away through a wild mist. Okay, it sounds kind of dumb in English, but like I think it kind of works in Chinese in that sort of like it's like because you don't see you don't see where it's leading the other side. So it's almost like it's flying into the unknown. Yeah. But it's not like the whole bridge is like flies away, I think. So I think that's sort of how I'm reading it here. And then the rocks and the fisherman's boat. Well, I feel like it's missing quite a bit here. So the stone jetty and the western bank, it greets the fishing boat. The peach blossom petals, the entire day follows the flowing water. And then the cave in this clear stream. Where is it? Oh, they're saying, oh, okay, then the last two characters are just saying the C is also written like this. So this is the more common way. It just means like a creek, yeah. Brook or it's a small river, I guess. Yeah. I think this person, I'm understanding this poem as like he's trying to search for this hidden utopia. So it's not the fisherman itself. I don't think he's writing from the perspective of the fisherman in the story, but he is. Well, he could be. He could be. I don't know, but maybe it's someone. It's either the fisherman himself from the original story, trying to find the utopia again, or he's trying to, or someone trying to follow in the fisherman's footsteps. And I guess what's the motivation for that? Well, I don't know. I don't feel like I have a good sense of the reference here. So let me look at the commentary. Okay, it's saying that the author, okay, so it's not the character. They think that this is the author, he's actually asking fishermen, and he is trying to find the utopia, and it's about how the scene is like almost out of this world. I think it is very beautiful, this idea of like the peach petals, they're just floating on the river all day. Yeah, and it does seem very like otherworldly, right? Like the bridge is flying through the mist, and and yeah, just petals on the river all day long. That does seem kind of just out of this world. Yeah, I think it's more about really depicting the scene and the yeah, in that sense, I guess it's quite a cinematic sort of poem. It's a very visual poem, and then the state being conveyed is one of like I guess you can say that in searching, in describing his search for a hidden utopia, he's creating the utopia in his words, right? He's creating this very idyllic sort of scene in his words, like an idyllic, okay, literature student, like idyllic pastoral scene, right? Like, yeah, it's not really pastoral, it's not really a field, but it's a kind of a rural scene, yeah. Okay. Very concise comment. It says the state is deep. So the words don't have to be very deep. Yeah. The state is profound. So the words don't have to be profound. Mm. Mm. Oh, this one, yeah, this is the same as what I said, right? It's very cinematic. It says there's a painting in the poem. Mm. Okay. I think, oh, there's just one more poem for the day. That's pretty good. We can do the last 15 minutes on that. Pretty good timing. So why don't we go on this final poem for the day? 263. Oh, Wang Wei, my favorite. Okay, so on the mountain holiday, thinking of my brothers in Shandong. So 9月9日忆山东兄弟. So this is really September the 9th, remembering my brothers in Shandong. So 独在异乡为异客，每逢佳节倍思亲。遥知兄弟登高处，遍插茱萸少一人. All alone in a foreign land, I am twice as homesick on this day, when brothers carry dogwood up the mountain, each of them a branch, and my branch missing. Wow. Wow. One thing I don't understand about this translation is that why is it not significantly longer than the previous genre, right? Because here there's like, at first there were 20 characters, 5 times 4. Now there's 28, right? So that's almost like 1.5 times more. So I feel like the translation should reflect that. I don't know. Because this feels significantly more expansive, like more larger, right? A larger poem than what came before. But yeah, random comment. So alone in another town, and I am alone in a foreign land, being a foreign man. Yeah, a foreign visitor. And every time during the festivals, I miss my family in multiples. So not just twice, but like multiple, like several multiples, right? And then far away, distantly, I know my brothers are ascending somewhere high, and everywhere they insert this cornelian cherry, okay, this 茱萸, but they're missing one person. So I don't think there's any specific symbolic significance to this flower. So I think maybe it is just like a very personal ritual that he and his brothers are doing. Yeah. Well, clearly, I guess one thing I picked out is like the repetition of E here, right? Different, unusual, strange in the first line. So he's really emphasizing, like, not only, so he's alone, and not only is it different from what he knows, he is different from who are the people there. So it's really the sense of isolation, yeah. And yeah, and I guess it's saying that in the holidays his longing is multiplied. I think the idea of numbers is so it sort of sets the idea of numbers here. And then that 12 is paid off in the end when it says like is lacking one person. And I wonder if that is even part of the title as well, because then he's giving you like the date, the month, and the day. So the almost the theme of numbers is coming out. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, someone asked, is the writing from right to left or left to right? Yeah, so for this, it's top down and then right to left. Yeah. Like this is the traditional way, but there's no reason why you can't just put it like modern people do put it like left to right, left to right, top down. Yeah. So because this is meant to be mimicking the actual like bamboo, not bamboo, like the scrolls, right, that they used to use. Yeah. Hmm. I feel like I can't really connect to this because I don't have any siblings, but I can kind of feel what he's trying to say. It's I mean because it's not like your parents, right? It's like your brothers or your siblings are like sort of close. They're almost like they're almost like copies of you, right? You know, they're closer to being like you than your parents, right? So I think that's why this idea of like multiples, and then like I think it's almost like, yeah, this group of people that are so like me, like more so than any other people in the world. But then I am missing from this group. That's the sense I'm getting from this. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, why don't we see what the commentary says? Okay, yeah, so this is a holiday, Chongyang That's why the 9th September the 9th. Okay, it's not really September the 9th because it's using like a lunar calendar, but it's like, yeah, the ninth day of the ninth month. Yeah. Okay. So apparently it's a custom in the during this festival to climb a mountain. Okay. Oh, and I guess there is something about maybe this is actually a ritual. So they think during the this festival, if they I guess insert this flower, this 茱萸, the cornelia something, is it? Cornelian cherry. If they insert it, then it can ward off like uh disaster lah, ward off bad things lah. Yeah. So this is not a personal ritual. This is not a personal ritual. This is a really a communal ritual. Yeah. Okay. Oh, he wrote this when he was 17. Wow. Okay, then that makes more sense. It's not like if he wrote it when he was like 86, right? Like 17. Wow, yeah, that's really something then. Hmm. Okay, this one is saying that the use of the word yao here is like, okay, I don't understand why, but they think it just means it's very, very far away. It's just, it's not just a normal kind of far away, it's just extremely far away. Yeah. So he knows his brothers are far away, but it's not just a normal amount, it's like really, really far. Hmm. Hmm. It's interesting. This comment says it doesn't say that I miss them, but actually they're saying that they miss me, and that makes it even more sad. That's an interesting point. Yeah. Right. This is exactly the same point, which is this. Yeah. Really? Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think it's saying the same point. Yeah, which is that they are the one missing me. Like in describing how they miss me, it really shows, indirectly shows how much I miss them, right? Because it's like you miss them so much, you're thinking about them, and then you think, wow, if I feel like this, they must miss me even more. Yeah. And I guess it is like, I didn't even notice, but like he doesn't even outright say that they miss me, right? It's just that, but they feel the absence of one person less. And, you know, and yeah. Wow, it's very well written. It's really very subtle. And I like how he's really like pinpointing on this specific ritual that's happening on the mountain holiday. Yeah. Like it's in, yeah, like it's really in the little things, right? Like when you pick this specific detail, I think it really shows off, it highlights the lack more than if you just say, if it's just like 28 characters saying, oh, I miss my brother so much. Like it is really in these concrete details are. And I see that's something that these poets do very well. Yeah. Okay, I think that's kind of it for me this week. So we did another 10 poems, right? So that would be, oh, we're more than 10% through this entire collection. So hopefully let's see what we have next week. Okay, I've never heard of this before, but it seems pretty interesting. Okay lah, I guess we sort of ended up ending a bit earlier today. Yeah, but I hope it was interesting. And now that we're in a new type of genre as well, I think these are also where a lot of famous poems come from. So we'll probably go through, yeah, we'll probably end up going through every poem your Asian mom made you memorize by the yeah, by the end of this section. And after that, we'll probably just keep going and go through the entire collection. So I think I would like to read all 300 poems. I can't believe we finished like the first 10% already. Yeah. So I guess that's really it for today. And yeah, thanks for coming and thanks for commenting. Like, really interesting to see your thoughts in the chat. And I hope to see you all next week as well. Oh, one last nice comment before I go. It says, you randomly stumbled upon this, but this is so cool. Oh, thanks. Yeah, and I do have recordings of all the previous ones we read. So yeah, I hope you can look through those. And yeah, really great to read through all this with you. I'll see you all next week, okay? Yeah, let me just end this and all right, bye-bye. See you all same time next week then. Bye.